Whining about men not coming up to them and approaching them in public. This is very, very common.
There's a really interesting trend at the moment of very attractive women complaining that men are no longer approaching them.
That's
Well, yeah, because there's a big issue going on, giant issue. But I'm sure they're going to talk about it. I'm just going to weigh in. I'm here to add in the missing voice in this conversation because it's a bunch of you know what's just talking about this. So let me add in my 2 cents in my experience because I'm sure some people would value it. So let's rock and roll.
right.
And I find this absolutely fascinating. So when I was a young man,
It's fascinating, but not surprising.
I only plucked up the courage to actually just walk up to a random woman on the street once because she was really attractive and say, hey, would you like to go out? She turned me down, right? Every other time I've got girlfriends or women who have been interested in me,
That's what
they've
happens.
basically come to me and sort of signaled to me that they're interested. And so, frankly, I've never been the sort of like, walk up to a girl and just start chatting her up type.
And I would say this is valid. I would say I've had the same situation. I don't think I've ever, actually I lied. Maybe 3 or 2 times I actually walked up, done the chatter, got the phone number, called, and it became like a thing, right? Only 3 times, right? But also keep in mind, this is when I was younger, right? And sure, more recently it happened again, but that person is also on the younger side, right? I would say it's more likely you'll have this kind of interaction with younger people than older. 'Cause I think as the older women get, they have more expectations and more things on their list that you have to, the criteria you need to meet, right? But then the other ones, like I would say 90% of the girls I end up being with were girls that signaled to me that they were interested in me, and then I kind of went after that, right? Because I think the biggest thing is a lot of guys are focused on just grinding, building their empire, getting a job, getting the skills, learning stuff, hanging out with their boys, and guys aren't thinking about settling down at such a young age. So yeah, keep in mind I'm like near 30, but I'm also not near 20. So I'm like in my mid 20s, my early 30s kind of. I'm not 30 yet, but I'm like about to be 30 soon-ish kind of. So yeah, definitely I would say. Yeah, majority of the time, and my other guy friends too. My other guy friends, they're dating girls that signal to them that they have interest, right? It wasn't like the guy approached her. So I would say it's a super common thing nowadays.
Absolutely same. 100% same. Completely agree.
But that
Same personality.
Most of the time, women will signal when they are interested in you. And
They will.
If you're interested back, you can pick it up and go from there.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that there is at least a certain kind of woman who enjoys the attention, right? Who likes to know that actually she is an attractive woman and she's flattered by men making the effort and, well, as this woman says, catcalling her. Let's listen.
Tell me why every day I go out looking adorable, tits bouncing, skin glistening, and yet nobody ever hits on me or approaches me. Ever!
I wonder why.
Oh my god, like please. I'll take a fucking construction worker catcall at this point.
Here's the thing, is if I was doing that to her, she'd be calling the police. Women don't actually want this. They only want it from guys that they find attractive or they like. This is a massive fucking thing that a lot of people don't talk about. Is that the reason, like, women don't have a problem with guys approaching them in general, as long as they do it respectfully. But I think another big difference is appearance. If you are a weird looking or an ugly looking guy, you going up to a girl is totally different than if it's somebody who is attractive. And so a lot of these girls say that they want this, but if it's some weird looking guy coming up to them, they're going to be very uncomfortable and they're going to complain about it on social media. That's what happens.
So okay, let me add some salt, pepper, and spice to this. All right. So yes, everything he says I agree with from my experience too. You can approach a girl if you are good looking and handsome. And if you're not good looking, handsome, and presentable, like you can also not be super good looking, super handsome, but you gotta be dressed presentable, right? You gotta be dressing decent, nice, or stylish to the girl's taste. Because you might dress nice in your brain, but to them that's not dressing nice, right? Depending on where they're from, where they're raised, the culture they're in. stuff like that, what status they're looking for in a guy, right? So when you approach a girl, and that's probably why I've been blessed and been able to approach 3 girls and have something come out of it, right? Do the romantic movie thing, whatever, Hallmark stuff, right? Probably because I am decently attractive and I do dress decently nice compared to most guys, I would say. And I'm not just tooting my own horn, right? Obviously, once you know more about me, I'm a professional dancer, AI programmer, obviously, I know how to dress and style, and obviously I can't, a lot of dance gigs require you to look a certain type of way, look handsome, look nice, whatever, and also smart, right? People label me as smart because I know how to program and I know how to do data science, data analysis, AI stuff, whatever. Just like flashy words that people signal to people, oh, he might be smart or whatever, and I have a degree, so people are gonna assume I'm smart because I have a degree. That's not the case really for a lot of people. Fit, all that stuff. So, but a lot of guys don't fit in this magical box that girls kind of want all the time, right? Oh, and I'm not like super tall, right? That's the thing. Like if I was tall, oh yeah, it's a done deal. But I'm not super tall. But even though I'm not tall, I've never had issues with attracting women and females. Never had that issue in my life. Never had that problem, thankfully. Because a lot of it comes down to if you have like 9 out of the 10, they'll take the 9 out of 10. You being super tall doesn't guarantee, but it gives you a huge advantage, right? So I would say, yeah, if you're not in that category of like the super, like the flashy stuff, yeah, they're just gonna call you weird and creepy. And notice how she says, like, oh yeah, I got my titties bouncing, my ass is out, like everything's jiggling, white, whatever. I'm telling you, people are shocking people, and girls think like this. Guys, a lot of guys don't realize that women think like this. And yeah, I know a lot of girls, they just want you to approach, but they're gonna reject. And this is the problem that's happening. Too many girls have rejected too many guys, and too many guys are just tired of being rejected. So we're just like, frick it, we're not gonna feed your ego anymore, make you feel like you're pretty, right? But a lot of girls, they associate I'm pretty with guys hitting on me, but they're still gonna reject 90% of those guys. So they're dressed a certain way to get compliments, just to reject people. And then I think about how much damage they're doing to the guys, because like eventually, enough guys will get rejected enough times, but they're just gonna stop approaching girls, and eventually the guy that you like, the guy that you'd want to go after you, he's not gonna approach you either because he's been hurt a couple of times by approaching girls that didn't want to deal with him because she wasn't their type and stuff like that or whatever. So keep that in mind, ladies. When you want this kind of attention, you're rejecting guys constantly, it's gonna come back around to bite you. Especially when people are doing videos now and talking about the experiences dating girls. It's stressful. But girls, and also lastly, girls are walking bills. And a lot of men realize this in this economy that our wonderful president has created and whatever else is going on. Women are just walking bills, and men don't want any more bills than they already have. So keep that in mind as well.
It's, flirting versus harassment. Exactly.
So now there are many people who are saying, well, and this is another video of the woman in the orange dress here. Again, very attractive women, and men are just not approaching them.
Yeah.
And they're becoming frustrated by it. And as Con here points out, many women, not all of them, spent the majority of the 2010s bitching about rape culture and misogyny and catcalling and Me Too, and now mad that young men aren't comfortable approaching them.
No, it's again, if young men they are mad that young men that they are attracted to are not approaching them. If weird, ugly guys started approaching them, they would be posting about how annoying it is publicly all the time. The same as they did back then.
You create the problem.
This is totally...
I don't think it's just young men, although I think the age thing is an interesting question. Because, I mean, this woman looks like she's in her early 20s, and, well, do men in their early 20s actually spend a lot of time dating anyway? It seems that a lot of Gen Z are quite shy, introverted, not great at approaching one another, and, I mean, not entirely their fault. Probably.
Me Too ruined everything. No, Me Too didn't have anything to do with this. This was happening way before Me Too. Me Too was like a COVID era thing. This has been going on ever since like 2013, 2014.
Probably a lot due to social media and the internet and the fact that they've got phones, so they don't have to actually go up and personally involve themselves. And they seem to have been losing the customs on how to show someone that they're interested.
It's also movies. Like, people that want the guys to approach them are imagining movies and TV shows and fake relationships that they see on Instagram. Right? This is what they're imagining. Like, when you hear story times, perhaps when couples met up and stuff like that, those couples are probably in their 30s or 40s. which means that what was going on back then was very different than what's happening now, and people are not realizing this, that the movies back then don't represent real freaking life, but a lot of people have an imagination and fantasy based on movies, TV shows, and fake Instagram relationships.
Interested.
Here's the reason why that happens. In the earlier days, many years ago, there was much more of a shared cultural identity that we had here in the US, or that I'm sure was over in the UK or in other countries, but particularly in the United States. There was a shared cultural identity that most people subscribed to. So whenever you went to approach someone or you went to talk to someone, your behavior would probably be inside of that cultural expectation. But I think what the internet and multiculturalism has done, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing or a good thing, it's just what's happened, is it's segmented different cultures and different groups of people with different expectations. There are women that like guys that when she tells them no, he keeps trying to pursue her because it makes her feel special. There are women that like that. Most women don't like that. And my advice to you is to assume that they don't like that, because I think it's weird. You know, again, like they like that, but that's how it is. They want it. Yes.
That is so true. There are some girls that like when you pursue heavily, strong, crazy. They want you obsessed. And that's how they gauge if you like them. But a lot of girls don't. But see, that's the confusing part. You have to just throw a coin and flip it and kind of guess if she likes being super chased or she likes you. If she says no, no means no, right? Some girls, no means yes, or no means try harder. And some girls, no means no. And it's a whole situation. And girls expect you to know what they want based on very little signals. And like you said, it's a multicultural problem. There's too many cultures in America that's mixing, and it's like cultural confusion now, right? Everybody's culture is important. There's no dominant culture anymore. You know, like it's hard. So you got to figure out what culture she subscribed to within a couple of seconds or in a couple of hours or minutes before you get called a creepo, weirdo, and all this stuff, which is really difficult because there's no you can dress one way but believe something that doesn't match how you dress, right? You can dress super modest and stuff but still be a freak on the sheets, and you can dress super freaky and super scandalous but be very much like shy, scared, and you're not like that, right? And that's the confusing part. There's no proper signals anymore. People just dress how they want regardless of how they think, and vice versa. And you can subscribe to one group one day and the next week you subscribe to a different group, and it's a whole epidemic right now. Or more like chaos. Chaos is the proper word.
Exactly. But no means no. Exactly. And so do you know if are you approaching a girl that is a no means no girl, or are you approaching a girl that is a, ask me 3 times to make sure that you really actually care about me girl? You see what I'm saying? And there's no way to really tell that really at all. And so you have this dilution of culture. And so there's no shared set of rules of engagement anymore. And so nobody knows how to approach this and how not to approach this. There will be guys that will be very respectful, and then girls will still post their DMs and be like, hey, look at this guy, what a thirsty boy. How to solve it? I don't think that you can really.
It isn't embarrassing or humiliating in some way. And
by the way, the girls that do that post the DMs from guys, the reason they're doing that is to feed their own ego. They're doing that so they can say, look at this popular person that was interested in me, but I'm too good for them. There's not really any other reason besides that. Yeah, it's their ego tripping. It's validation.
That protects the dignity of both people involved. And I don't blame them. I mean, these are things that I think generally haven't been well passed down. I remember my dad telling me, you've just got to go and ask.
Yeah.
And the worst she can say is no. I mean, that's not true. The worst she can do is laugh at you. But
or post your interaction on social media and embarrass you publicly. Or if it's at work, get you fired for sexual harassment.
And that's another one, yeah, because the thing is nowadays, a lot of people, they meet their future partners at work, right? So if you like a girl at work you want to approach her, that can ruin your whole dynamic at work. Back in the day, you can hit out a girl, ask her out, and HR is not going to fire you. Nowadays, you approach your girl, ask her out, and she feels like you're weird. Now you're fired, and you can't even work next to her anymore, right? Back then, women were more tolerable about a different things, which allowed the dating culture to happen there. And yeah, people got married. A lot of couples get married in from work situations, right? So yes. And then what else did he say? He said social media. Yeah. And the thing is, if they have your Instagram now, which is the thing, they're gonna send your picture to their friends, send your profile to their friends, and make fun of you. And not now a no from one girl, and she thinks you're creepy, shuts you down from 10 other girls potentially, because she has 10 girlfriends or 10 friends that are girls, and she talks about, oh, this guy approached me, he's weird, and she shows your picture. Now those 5 girls will not date you. Now a no now explodes to 5 no's instantly because of social media, right? They'll just screenshot your picture and send it to the girls and tell them how creepy you are. And now if those girls date that guy, they feel weird about it. Now he shut off from 5 potential other girls that are probably more interested in him and wouldn't care about this kind of stuff. It's a problem.
Or, like fucking ostracized. There's a lot of things that they can do that are worse than saying no.
Hasn't happened to me, but I can imagine that happens, and it's absolutely harrowing. But at the end of the day, as a man, it's tough, and you will get over it. It's not the end of the world. But the times that it does work, then when you think, okay, that woman actually seemed to quite like me, and I'm going to go up and ask her out. It's actually really gratifying, and you feel like you've accomplished something. I said I hadn't done once, but now I'm thinking about it. I have actually done it a few more times than that. It was only once that I walked past this woman, and I was just like, wow, she's really attractive. And I was single at the time. Yeah. And walked up to her. But other times where it's,
I have never done that.
I had a date with a girl who...
I'm not throwing no shade, but I'm glad he didn't. Because he probably would have gotten called weird or stuff like that. Unless the girl was from a certain part of America. They would have loved him. But I'm not throwing any shade or anything. It's just honest.
Sold internet. She was, one of the women on the street, people on the street who were trying to sell broadband.
Same.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like 15, 20 years ago. I can't remember how long now.
We know.
And I didn't want it. But I ended up getting it because she was really cute. And... I asked her on a date, and she was like, yeah, okay, great. It didn't go anywhere, but, it was no big deal. But I ended up with that broadband for a goddamn year. But the point is, when...
It is what it is, brother. Yep.
When you...
Yeah, I've definitely wasted tons of money trying to find a wife, that's for sure. They're doing the stupidest things, that's for... Man... Dating makes you do the dumbest things sometimes because it's just a constant gamble, bro. It's like a gambling addiction almost.
When you do it and it goes quite well, then okay, great, But anyway, that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is there's definitely an atmosphere that was created by the feminism of the 2010s. And this, I think, genuinely happened.
Well, I don't think we're past it either. Like, I see on a weekly basis, even now, women exposing DMs from men all the time. This happens constantly. I mean, you guys have seen this too, right? Like, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only person that's seen this. This is quite common.
Has had effect.
No. I think now, it's still common now, but now they're decent enough to scratch out the guy's name. I think that's what's changing, because they're realizing... the guy might call her out for the true BS that happened, and they don't want the back and forth storytelling. So they want to tell this side of the story without any repercussions. So now they just cross the guy's name out, because the guy finds out he's going to defend himself, and that becomes a whole brouhaha. Then she gets called out for how she actually is, and she's not trying to be responsible for her actions. That's what's going on nowadays, but it is better than before.
I mean, Me Too, the hysteria about catcalling and misogyny and rape culture and all that sort of stuff. You can say thanks to Anita Sarkeesian, who herself have probably been catcalled.
Fitness videos,
She's not hideous.
Fitness creep videos, stuff like that, definitely.
But who had to marry herself, incidentally. And now these women are feeling the effects of it. That's definitely an issue. And there are lots of women all over the place. It's not just like the odd TikTok video. like this one here, I'm wondering if guys still approach women they don't know but are attracted to. Or this basically never happens anymore.
Nope.
I, as a woman, don't get approached while walking the street in the grocery store, etc. Men seem to like me at work and on dating apps, but the approach thing from strangers just doesn't happen. And what's really funny,
because people have said for years they don't want that. They said they don't want it. I wish we had a code in society. Exactly, right? And even this top comment is saying exactly what I'm saying.
Is they're looking, going through this and being like,
there's no shared cultural expectation.
We need to have some sort of social signal, like dropping a handkerchief to see if the guy's interested. Mm-hmm. And there was someone in this thread, I was reading through it before I started.
And also, like, again, if a weird looking guy came up to her, she would not like that. I think there's very much a tremendous amount of kind of romanticization of this behavior without actually thinking about its legitimate, like, realistic consequences, where it's like, okay, sure, yeah, you want an attractive, good-looking guy to come up to you and be interested in you, but do you want an ugly, weird-looking guy who's awkward to come up to you? Probably not. So really, the odds are, right, it's going to be probably more ugly, weird-looking guys. So, yeah, that's why they ended up stopping this, and people don't do it anymore. It goes both ways? Well, of course it does.
They're like, yeah, but what if the guy doesn't pick it up? That'd be devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't find the thing. But it would. But at least it wouldn't be, like, obvious. At least you could play it off as if, I just dropped that. I didn't mean to drop it. I wasn't trying to signal. But anyway. So, yeah, you've got, like, other videos of women who are just trying to think of ways to get guys to approach them. Because, again, like, I think for a lot of women, it's not necessarily that they are, actually, they want loads of guys to like be hitting on them. But what I think it is just for them to feel secure about themselves, and also gives them something interesting to say about the night. Like, it gives them a social status over other women that these two are talking about incidentally. It gives them sort of like, it's a story, right? Mm-hmm. That they can tell their friends and say, yeah, this guy approached me, oh my God, he was this, he was that, whatever.
Yeah.
But also it reassures them. Oh, right, no, I am still actually
it's
attractive.
Validating. Yes.
Because a couple of years ago, I remember doing a video about women when they get older and they start to feel invisible. And it's because, like, when you're a young and attractive woman, you at least know that men notice you.
Yeah, sure.
And
of course.
I think that for a lot of attractive young women, they feel important. They feel, oh, right, no, I have a place in society, and these guys are looking at me. They're checking me out. Even if they're not approaching me, I'm on their radar, right? They understand that I am a thing that matters in the grand scheme of male-female relationships. And so in society itself, I am sort of put on the map. Mm-hmm. But what these women are really complaining about is, I think, that they feel that they aren't on the map anymore. And this is the same thing that the older women were complaining about. When women get to like their 40s and 50s, and men are no longer just checking them out. They no longer catch men just having a sideward glance.
Sure.
Admiringly. Which, again, the feminists have done a superb job of stigmatizing this. But actually, I think for a lot of women.
Well, the reality also is that there are a lot of guys that do it in ways that are bad. And this is something that a lot of people don't necessarily say, but there are guys that don't take no for an answer. There are guys that are creepy. And I think that they do make women uncomfortable in a lot of cases. It's not like this is like, oh, women are just stupid and bad. No, absolutely not. There's a lot of guys that try to put a power play on a girl, right? Take her out on a boat because of the implication, right? That type of stuff. And it makes women very uncomfortable, and it does happen. Now, obviously, like, that's a meme and a joke, but real life variants of that happen all the time. And the truth is that that's the reason why a lot of women are against this stuff and pushed against it back in the 2010s, is because a lot of it came with a degree of coercion, or it came with a implied physical, threat, like maybe not even necessarily threat, but unsafeness.
So, yeah, a lot of boys, guys, whatever, man, yada, yada, yada. I think people forget that majority of the world is not handsome, attractive, rich guys. I think that's what people are not realizing. Being rich is weird. Being rich is rare. Like the rich is like 1% to 10% of the world actually considered rich, right? And that means out of like 5 billion people, only like what was that? I can't do the math right now. Let me do the math right now. Hold on, I got you guys. I get some math right now. Let me get the math. So let's say there's 5 billion people on this planet, right? Let's do some math. It's 5 billion people. Let me see, how many zeros is that? Yeah, cool. So let's say there's this many people. Is that 5 million? Yeah, it's 5 billion. It's 5 billion people, right? Now let's multiply this times 10%, right? Cool. Did I just? Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, and it doesn't seem like a big. This is such a bad example because the number barely changed. It's a zero drop down, but that's like this times 10 is how many people are on this planet. So you have 1/10, right? 1/10. And out of these, how many of them are guys? So I mean, 50% of this is like guys. So cut it in half, divided by 2. Cool. So these are like the males, right? Assuming that, 50% males and females in that ratio, right? But you can think about how many of them are around the dating age, aren't married. We can cut this, because obviously there's not a lot of 18-year-olds running around with money, right, that are rich and handsome. So we're going to cut this by like 25, right? Divided by 4, right? So then you have like 62 million guys, right? Cool. Now, keep in mind, of these guys, like, and the thing is, these guys have so many girls under their belts. So these guys, right, they probably have 1 million girls once just one of them, right? And they know this. They're aware that they're a high-value dude. They're very handsome, they're very attractive. They can get any girl they want. And also the Christians, right? How many of these people are Christian? Probably cut this in half again, right? Cool. See, this many guys, and keep in mind, this includes people in all the countries. If we just did America, this number would probably just be like 30,000, right? In all of America, right? Keep in mind, because we have a bunch of other countries, and there's rich people in all different countries. But keep in mind, in America itself, it's probably only 30,000 guys. In all of America, keep that in mind, 30,000 guys. A college campus usually has like 150K students, right? Yeah, a college campus might have 150K students or more, right? And that's just one college campus, right? One college campus has this many people in it, most likely, depending on how big the college university is, right? So you have 30,000 people, like eligible bachelors across America. And how many girls there are available? There's this many girls that want these guys, right? It's super out of proportion, right? So then what happened to the rest of the guys, right? What happened to the other 4 billion dudes that are out there, right? Yeah, that's the majority of the world. There's 4 billion of the dudes are already married, creepy, weird, not super fit, whatever. And people just don't realize majority of the guys out there are not these 32 niggas don't just live next to each other in the same city. Like probably like maybe 110, like 100 guys that fit this criteria to 10 to 100 probably live in the same city as each other, right? So yeah, I think that's the reality check people need to realize is the numbers. Like there's not that many. So the chance of someone like that walking up to you is so freaking low. So if you're asking for attention, if you're asking to be approached, you gotta realize what you're asking for. Okay? That was a lot of numbers, but you get the idea.
And just a tangent on this. Think about the kind of women who are feminists. Very rarely the attractive ones, right? Very rarely the ones who are getting catcalled. So in a way, feminism was kind of like a negative mating strategy.
Yeah.
And they've ruined it for the decent-looking women. And you can thank your sisters on that one. They were fighting for your rights, not to feel flattered when you're walking.
From my experience of talking to girls that I would say are above average attractiveness, I would say that the majority of them do not appreciate having people come up to them in public and try to approach them. I'm sure that there have been experiences that they had that were positive, but if you looked at it as like, is it a net value of a positive or a negative? I would say it is a negative net value.
around at night in your best clothes, looking as gorgeous as you can. Like, your sisters have done this for you. But I think they're entering the same status as women who grow older. And so, when women get to like their 50s and men are no longer like, they're no longer a presence on the radar. They're no longer, maybe she's maybe she'd be interested or something like that. That no longer happens because men just aren't thinking, okay, I want a 50-year-old woman.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up a 50-year-old woman.
Well, it's guys aren't attracted to older women, like in a general sense. Like, everybody knows this. It's like one of those things like, oh, you're not supposed to say this. Yeah, that's obviously the reason why. Everybody knows it.
So it's one of those things that the older invisible women who didn't get married and don't have kids and don't have families, this is one of the things that, by the way, ladies, you're going to want to get married and have kids so you don't turn into one of these invisible women. It will happen to you too.
Yeah, of course.
Because this is the nature of what the manosphere, uncharitably but fairly, calls the wall. When you reach the menopause, frankly, you stop being a viable mate.
It's not a year, right? There's some chicks that look really attractive and they're like 50 or 60. And there's other chicks that stop looking attractive when they're 27. It's genetics, the way that you take care of yourself, skincare routine, drug patterns, everything like that. So there's a lot of examples of both of them, and like we all know those examples, right? Of course, right? Everybody's giving out names or whatever, and women that kind of like immediately they hit the wall at 25. Yeah, this definitely happens too. For sure it does. But at the same time, yeah, of course, and I think that for guys, this is true too, by the way. Like, people like to create this false dichotomy where, like, women age really badly and men don't. I think that that's not really true. There aren't really a lot of, like, 23-year-old attractive women that are hoping that a 45-year-old guy.
All right, I'm going to skip around because they're kind of getting redundant at this point. Let me go to the peaks to see what else they got going on, and then we'll go from
men way more often than younger men make exceptions for younger women. Older women. But I think in general, those younger women that are attractive are looking for men that are around their age. That's the truth. That's primarily what they're looking for.
I'm gonna jump to these clips of the females talking. I need to find some clips. Give me a second.
On TikTok, there are girls going into Midtown during the week and stealing Finance Bros salads for lunch.
What?
And then looking their name up from the salad order on LinkedIn and
see, that's got nothing to do. This is what I'm saying. Why are they why would it be finance? What?
And messaging them through there and being like, hey, oh my god, so sorry, I grabbed your salad, like, let me just make it up to you and buy you a new one. And that's how they're like sliding it, which honestly, smart. Why are we stealing men's salads? Like, why can't they just come up to us at a bar? Like, why is it getting to this point? Men, just please step up or your salad's gonna fucking get taken. Your lunch is gonna get taken every week. Like, I'm seeing girls get so creative these days. Like, they're making bracelets with their phone numbers on them and giving them to you guys at the bars. They are taking pictures of you sneakily and then being like, hey, oh my god, making it their phone screen, and being like, hey, can you take a picture of me and my friends so you can see that your picture is their home screen. All just different.
If I did that to a girl.
Nah, she making stuff up. That's not real. That's not real. There's no way. Okay, here's another one. If I read it to you, this is some weird statistic. I don't know how they got this math. These numbers be crazy, but they're saying 53% of single men don't approach women because they're scared of coming off as creepy. I don't know who did these numbers. I don't know how valid these numbers are. I would just say the number's definitely more than 20%. And that's a lot of people. So moving on to the next thing. All right, that video's done. They're just repeating themselves and going on tangents. I'm trying to figure out the exact number. I did some crazy math earlier. I want to make sure I get the proper math for you guys. So let's do America. In the U.S, right? Gotta make sure you say U.S. I'll make it bigger for y'all. I know y'all be blind. In the U.S, the U.S dot, yup. How many men from the age age of, from the age of 18 to 30. Let's do 45. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, 45 are above the height. This is a good decent height. I'll say the height of 5 inch. I think it's 5 foot, 5 inch. Yeah, 5 inch. Yeah, remember that 5 inch. And weigh less than 300 pounds. Okay, yeah, less than 300 pounds. Let's do 250. We'll say 300. Yeah, 300 pounds. And make at least 100K salary. What else was there? And our handsome. Yeah. Give me a range. Alright, we're gonna ask the AI. Yep. Let's see what it says. We're gonna ask chat what it says. Okay, so there's 65 million guys from this age range, which is fair. It's a pretty wide age range. Yep. Average male height is 5'9". Only 10% of men are 5 foot 5 or shorter. Okay. So 90% passed the height filter. Okay, so we got 59 million that passed that. Okay, weight filter. Okay, 95% passed, so 56 million. Okay. Income earned 100K plus, so 8.5 to 12 million. Okay. If we assume handsome, so 2 million handsome men. Okay. So 2 million to 4 million handsome guys. Okay. So roughly 2 million to 4 million guys in the U.S. fit that description. Okay, and that's in all the U.S., which means including Kansas, New York, Cali, Denmark. Denmark's not, that's a country. Wait, Denmark, that's a country. Is that a country? Okay, I'm not crazy. It is a city here. I'm not crazy. I knew it was there. But anywho, so we got 2 to 4 million. All right. Now, keep in mind, this is women's criteria. So let's do men criteria, right? So we got 2 million. I'll make another chat, actually. Matter of fact, make another chat. Let's do 2 million. So how many? Matter of fact, let me grab the criteria for women, right? And people be like, oh, it's not too much to ask for. I don't think people realize to make 100K is a certain type of personality they gotta have, certain type of situation they have to have, certain type of a lot of things they gotta have. Same for the weight loss thing. They gotta be fit. They gotta go to the gym regularly. They gotta eat healthy, stuff like that. So there's a bunch of things they're asking for. They're not realizing. You can't just say, oh, it's only one criteria, but that one criteria requires them to do 12 different things, right? How many? Let me copy and paste it. Hold on. Sorry, my nose. How many women? Let me deal with it. Women. Because guess what? Guys don't care about the height, so we'll do below 6 feet. We'll do below 6 feet, right? Weigh less than 300 pounds. Obviously, guys are a lot meaner when it comes to the weight stuff, so this is 200 pounds, make at least 100K. Let's take out the money one. And are pretty. And then we gotta add this one. And not sterile or on menopause, which means can they have kids, right? Give me a range. Cool. Let's see what they say for the woman now. 75 million. I just get to the end of it. I'm just gonna jump ahead. Boom. So we got, based on the prettiness, weight, all that stuff, we got 28 million is the max, right? Compared to the guys, it was 2 to 4 million. Now, if we do some basic math right there, I'm pulling the calculator again. People don't realize the odds of this stuff happening. And then the Christians and the religious people and the manifestors, the spiritualists, they're gonna come in here and say, I can manifest me a good man, But if you know Christianity, if you know spiritualism, if you know all that jazz, the core root of all those things is that you need to be a certain person to receive something, right? You might be lucky to get something, but it won't last because you're not built to have that thing, right? If that makes sense. That's the whole core of all those like the religions, the spiritual values. People just want to get stuff without giving up anything or changing themselves, right? And that's a big weird thing I find confusing. People treat it like Santa Claus. But anywho, so you got 28 million women. So let's just do 28 million divided by 4 million, right? Actually, I'm doing the math wrong. I think it's 4 divided by 28 is 14. Yeah. So that's 14%. So that's 14%. So, matter of fact, let me ask you the ratio. If there are 4 million men that are dateable, what is the ratio of women to men? Use 28 million women. Yeah. Let's see what that number is. Okay, wow, 7 to 1. So it's a 7 to 1. I was right the first time, so the math was, whatever, guys. I don't do this math on a regular basis. Anywho, the odds are 7 to 1. That means for every one attractive dude, there are 7 females he might find attractive, right? Or 7 girls that want him, right? So pretty much that's the ratio. So pretty much there's not enough niggas, right? There's not enough dudes. The ratio is 1 to 7, right? That means if one guy gets taken up by a girl, 6 of them probably end up being single, or they have to settle for guys that are not, that high quality dude that everyone dreams of having, right? They got to settle and just give up and just pick whatever comes their way, right? And I think girls don't realize how bad the odds are because, matter of fact, how many millionaires? What's the percentage? What's the percentage of people 100K in the U.S. that are male and under 45 years old, right? I should have said make 100K or more, but that's my bad. Yeah, okay, I understand what I was trying to say. See, I love this thing. So we'll see. What is the number? So it looks like 25 to 30%, right? That means 70% of men don't make this kind of money. 70% don't make this kind of money. And that automatically, like, that's what I'm saying. People just don't realize how rare it is to just make this amount. Like, men don't just have money coming out their butt, bro. But, a lot of women are taught this kind of behavior that men just have money for some reason. But it's really interesting concept. But anywho, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm going to stop it here. Y'all get the idea. Y'all need to either get realistic, and men need to realize that they are the prize in a lot of situations. Yes, it's nice to have a trophy wife, a beautiful girl, And, depending on the kind of woman you get, it can be a really great benefit, or you're just getting a giant bill, right? You got to realize that kind of thing. Are you getting a bill? Are you getting a partner that's going to help you build something? Are you going to get a girl that's going to do her own thing as you do your thing, but your money is feeding her thing, and she's not trying as hard? You know what I'm saying? You got to look what you're signing for. Think about what you want. Look what you're signing up for. And just look decent. Go to the gym, work out, look decent, guys. Just get at least watch the diet a little bit. Do something interesting, get a little hobby. It's just pretty straightforward, guys. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. I'm telling you. Yeah, just try some interesting hobby that they might find interesting, right? Video games might not be that interesting, but hey, some guys find girls via video games too. So this guy's a limit, but just keep that in mind, dudes. I feel like I see more single girls than single guys. And because guys just be doing their own thing and women just give up eventually and they just settle, Because it's not a bad thing to settle. Settling is not a bad thing. People take it as a bad thing. I don't know why it's a bad thing to settle. Because you settle for so much other things in life. But for some reason with a human you can't control, you won't settle. It's kind of weird. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. Appreciate y'all watching. Comment below what y'all think. If what I'm saying is true or false, or I'm talking a bunch of malarkey. Let me know below. But make sure you subscribe and follow for some more fun talks. Alright, peace.